So I suppose that Mr. Ratana Som is presenting.
I am presenting.
Okay, great.
Very quick before it, okay. I'm not really the expert in the topic, but this is part of my research for my PhD dissertation. So in the process of doing critical literature review relevant to ICT and change management. And I come up with the ideas of trying to understand the relationship between ICT and change management, how are they related. So here, as you know, I think in the past decades, people actually been discussing a lot about the role of ICT. They actually say that ICT as tool actually has a great impact on improving the education quality. And consequently, it actually leads to the universal adoptions of ICT in education systems. I don't talk about the disparity of the adoptions between the rich countries and the poor countries, but of course, I think the drive has been a global drive that ICT has been adopted in the education system. But actually, later research actually proved that ICT as tool actually don't really has the impact on the education quality. And as a result, such environments actually, they say it's not the ICT that actually enhance the educational performance, but in fact it's the change management. The use of the technologies basically is the most important thing. And my study objective is to present the symbiotic relationship between ICT and change management, zeroing in on how changes are managed to attain a proper ICT ecosystem for education quality improvement. And the second one is to understand the role of ICT in education, its designs and impact. And the last one is to identify what constitutes effective change management approach for ICT inclusion in the education system and of course elsewhere beside the education system. My methodology, because this is in the process of just doing the critical literature review, I'm just doing the extensive bibliographical studies, reading from almost 50 different articles and come up for in-depth analysis. And then what I did actually do accordingly based on the themes that are relevant to ICT and change management, models, constraints, and coming to, as I have already pointed out, that a lot of actually studies pointed to the betterment the betterment of learning outcome because of the ICT, because they say multiple forms of interactions of students would actually enhance student learning. Some actually say it widen access and decrease needs for on-site teaching and learning accommodation. And of course, students learn better among themselves. These are all the things, and a collaborative learning environment, because they use information communication technology. They can actually work online. They can actually have teleconference or whatever. So all these stuff actually were believed to contribute to the better learning outcomes in the education. And also, as you may know, with the availability of information communication technology, the classroom format has been a change completely, a change from off-class format and also change of class support. For example, even in Cambodia, actually a number of courses now have been introduced, the Google classrooms, whereby they actually do the teaching and training through the Google platforms, and also all the class grade and class communication are conducted in that way. Change of the role of teachers and learner. Teachers is no longer actually the real instructor in class, but they are the mere facilitator for the students. But there is a shifting paradigms in the sense that later on, actually, research proved that there is no correlations between teaching and learning outcome with ICT. This is a shifting paradigm. They say no, technology actually do not really enhance learning, but of course the correct design, the methodology, the pedagogy that actually shapes the development, the enhancements of students' learning. And then we are trying to, given the impact of ICT on education is very strong, it's required change on both classrooms and every support, because in the present day, with a lot of availability of ICT as tools, then of course it introduced into the education system. Then of course it changed almost everything, and hence as a result, when we are talking about change, we are talking about change, then of course we have to think the human role is very important in the designs of the change. Given the pace, the pace of change is too vast and fast, human needs technology to manage the change. So from here, I can actually just want to highlight that you can see there is a very close relationship between human technology and change management. There is a close relationship that because the change, because of technology, it makes a change very fast and unpredictable. And given that, actually we need people to actually control the change. And again, because the change is too fast, then of course human needs technology to actually control those big change. So there is a circular relationship between the three elements. This is what I yeah. And again, yes, and here what I just want to say is that when you actually are discussing about the change, you brings in also discussion about the technology, and when you discuss about technology, you also have to discuss about change, because these are very much relevant. Towards an effective change at the age of ICT, efforts has been, dated back to past centuries to really identify what is the best change approach, change management approach. But actually, it's still far-reaching. There is no commonality among this. This is probably due to the fact that the pace and size of change has been very dramatic given the facts of the advancements of technology, and also because of the cultural differences from place to place. But nevertheless, we actually can identify, when people are talking about change management, to adopt technology for better learning and teaching outcome, then of course people are talking about different things. The people are agreeing on the four main constructs. You can see here we have change elements, change type, change process, and change culture. These are the four constructs that all the researchers actually agreed that they are all the things to discuss when we are talking about managing change. I just try to go very, sorry. I just want to go very fast. Yes, so I'm just touching on the change elements. In change elements here, I actually adapt from Oligowski and Jakes, who actually pointed out that when you are talking about change elements, then of course you have to think of three things. One is strategy, another one is technology, and another one is human being. As I pointed out, they have a very close relationship with each other. And as for change types, we actually look at Kurt Levin plan change. But actually, as you can see, because of the technological developments, then of course in the present time you cannot expect any plans can be adapted well, because change happens all the time, that you have to be very flexible with that. So plan change is no longer applicable in most cases, and that's why this is the thing. As change strategy expect change per se, the role of top managers become less relevant. So top manager who used to be very powerful in managing or planning everything, but now it's no longer. They actually say the middle manager, the functional managers are those who are very, very critical in dealing with the change and managing the change. Yes, and a process, when we are talking about a process, then of course we are having a lot of theories talking about the process, some actually ranging from a 3-step process other up to 10-step process. For example, in here Kurt Levin actually proposed just 3-step process through what we call freezing, unfreezing, and refreezing. When you want to change something, you have to freezing, unfreezing, and refreezing. That's the process. And for counters, they actually introduce 10 steps, which is very complicated. And hence, actually, we suggest to actually use Judson 5-step models, which actually be very practical. So I actually stated there in my paper about this 5-step model.
Last minute.
Yes, yes. And analyzing the planning. These are the steps. In fact, I put in here: analyzing, planning the change, communicating the change, getting acceptance of new behavior, changing from all the rest here. These are the process of introduced by Judson's. Yeah, effective. Effective change has to be also culturally sensitive. In other words, what I just want to say is that change for a successful change model in a particular place cannot guarantee that it's going to be a successful model for the other place, given the different culture of one place to the other place, and also from one country to the other countries. And that's probably one of the main things that I think a future researcher has to check on it. And conclusion, so my conclusion to this is that integration of ICT alone does not necessarily produce direct positive impacts on teaching and learning performances, but a proper change management approach, which is driven by human being. Though ICT is viewed as an inevitable part of the change process, it surely no way be considered as a determinant for change. Again, there must be a close relationship between ICT and people who actually make the designs of the technology to make the impacts realized in the fields of education. And humans indeed has this role, and hence the involvement of all key human actors, especially functional managers, in the change process is deemed critical. So yes, I'm coming to the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, questions? Any questions? No questions so far? Well, I try to ask one. You are promising in the title of your paper that this relationship between ICT and change management should enhance teaching and learning performances. Mm-hmm. How would you like to show it? How would you like to prove it? How would you like to measure it?
In fact, I think when talking about the ICT in education, actually previously people thought that by just employing computers with LCD, teleconference, then of course it's going to enhance students' learning. But as I pointed out, research actually proves that that's not really the case. But it's about the environment where you develop for the ICT to grow. And in here, I think, again, as I pointed out, the role of human beings is very important. Some people actually say you have to design that actually meets the need of the students. Some people actually say you have to design that is applicable to a particular culture. Some people say actually you have to design in a way. So basically, the role of human being is very important in shaping the ICT environments whereby it can actually provide a positive outcome for teachings and learning. So basically, what I just want to point out is that ICT alone actually is not enough for teachings enhancements.
You mentioned that this is part of your dissertation research.
Yes.
And your dissertation research will be predominantly qualitative or quantitative?
Both, actually, because it is a case study based, basically. So one part is that I'm going to do a very in-depth analysis, interview to understand the case of one successful story in the university where I am working. And in order to back the phenomenon that I actually found out from the case study, I actually also conducted a quantitative study, conducting surveys with relevant staff and leaders to really use those data to back up the phenomenon.
So basically, you are still in front of the task to develop indicators
Right.
which should be somehow measured and in this way evaluated.
Right.
It's just preparation what you do.
This is just preparations, but we actually have in mind already for certain variables that we actually have to look into. It's like what I pointed out, the change element, change type, change process, and culture. But culture is very difficult, a very difficult element to really measure right now that I'm trying to think for the time being.
Any questions? If not, so best of luck.
Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you very much.